When we think about sustainability, it usually comes from pollution from a coal mining factory or large industrial complex emitting dark smoke. But in the 21st century, where everything is moving to digital, the new modern factory is in the cloud. However, that digital cloud is not floating in the sky. It's made of thousands of concrete buildings, the data centers, housing millions of computers, the physical servers. And that's what's powering all our digital entertainment, the online shopping, and most of the business applications we use every day. So what is the true impact of digital transformation on the environment? When we work in digital and build application in the cloud, how can we select the most eco-friendly solutions? How can we support our customers who are trying to make ethical buying decisions? In this video, I'll share with you some recommendations on how to minimize your carbon footprint when working with the cloud. We'll compare hosting providers and look at their green credentials, but at the end of the video, we'll see that there are more considerations you should take in your digital team. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back. My name is Sylvain Reiter, and on this channel I share my 15-year experience of co-running a digital transformation agency where I've had to educate clients and grow a team. And I'm doing that to help you make better decisions so you can be the hero in your next digital project. So first of all, we have to accept that digital transformation is usually a net positive for the environment. For example, when we build applications to process digital records instead of paper forms manually, or when we use pay-as-you-go resources in the cloud, it's much more efficient than keeping your own servers running. However, research from the Shift project look at nearly 170 international studies on the environmental impact of digital technologies. And according to the experts, the share of global CO2 emission increased from 2.5 to 3.7% in the last 10 years. This means that our use of digital technologies is actually close to 4% of the global CO2 emission, which is bigger carbon footprint than the entire aviation industry. So when you have to decide to host your next web application or digital platform, you're probably going to go with one of the big three, Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, or Google Cloud, because they account for nearly 3/4 of the market share and they're the most reliable technically. So let's focus on those three. To look at the green credential or the sustainability credential, the three common metrics to consider are the efficiency of the data center's infrastructure, such as their cooling system. Second is the efficiency of the servers themselves. And third is the source of electricity. At the infrastructure level, the main metric is the power usage effectiveness, or PUE, which measure the total energy needed to power the data center versus the need for the computing power. And if we focus specifically on the source of power for those data centers and look at renewable energy, according to my research and what those providers are publishing online, it's getting very confusing because they all claim about data center being powered 100% by renewables, but it's not very clear and it's not very accurate because depending on the locations of those data centers, they're still being connected to the grid that's using fossil fuel. In reality, only a fraction of each company's energy comes directly from wind installation or solar farm, and they rely on guarantees of origin in Europe or renewable energy credits in the US to buy carbon offsets, basically, to offset what they're consuming and to offset their emissions. So when we look at those three providers, we can see that Google's greenhouse gas emissions in 2021 were 1.5 million tons, and they commit to be carbon-free by 2030 with PUE of 1.1 TTM. Azure has 16 million ton emission with carbon neutral by 2030 and PUE is 1.17. And AWS, a bit more difficult to gather, 44 million ton of emission, carbon net zero by 2040 and a PUE under 1.2. We don't have the exact number. So Google seems to be most open and transparent about all those data and their green efforts. So if I had to pick one, Google Cloud would have a slight edge with their data center in Iowa, US Central 1, and Europe North 1 in Finland, being the list of their most carbon-free data center as shown on this graph. For Azure, they don't share the same metrics, but from their infrastructure map, seems like Europe North in Ireland and East US 2 seems to be the only data center with the Zero Waste certified and the Microsoft Circular Center certificate available. Finally, for AWS, which owns more than a third of the market share, they recommend us to choose the region near Amazon's renewable energy project and regions where the grid has a published carbon intensity that is lower than other locations. So again, it's not really clear. It's quite hard to map directly the impact of their green efforts to their actual data center location. So what's one of the providers we use, and when we have to select a location, prioritize probably EU West 1 in Ireland for EU customers and US East, North Virginia for US customers. They seem to be the closest match. As you can see, it's really hard to understand and compare those big numbers. With those credits offsetting their emission can be seen a bit of a marketing gimmick. And this is why I think there are many other factors to consider. The main one, and where we have more control over as digital workers, is the need to make more efforts on how we use those cloud resources. It comes down to us, the technical architect or the senior developers, to optimize our web application to run on the right infrastructure and to minimize the number of resources needed. All providers now have a carbon footprint calculator to help us see the impact of our services, such as this one from my AWS account, where you can see your emission by services and can point you to areas to optimize. The other point is also on performance of your codes, such as the number of database requests or the front-end libraries that you use, how you optimize the videos. All of that will make the page and the site heavier to load, requiring more bandwidth to serve the content to your users. So in my next video, we'll look into a bit more details about this and how we can plan and implement more sustainable web applications. So don't forget to subscribe not to miss it. So if you're considering upgrading your current platform to be more sustainable, leave me some comments below or get in touch. You can also watch this video about securing access to your cloud hosting environment and avoid being locked out, because that could be your worst nightmare. Until next time, keep up the good work, stay safe, and see you soon.